So I'm about to dick eat. Recently, I've been watching this video, Adam22 sitting down with Abba from Abba and Preach, if you've ever watched the YouTube channel before, and they start discussing the level where in the era that we're in with SoundCloud rap and where some of the artists are going, right? Good conversation. Decent conversation. A little bit up until the point they start talking about Lil Pump, Smoke Perp, and Lil Xan, kind of like where that aspect of rappers or most of the SoundCloud rappers in that world have gone, what path they've gone down, how some of them have diminished in a lot of quality or had no quality at all within their music a lot of the time, and where are they now and how can they make a comeback somehow. Trying to say that SoundCloud rap is just dead entirely, that the app is dead and no one uses the app anymore. I don't think they specifically said that, but it's something that has come up in conversation before, and I hear it all the time. And I don't necessarily know why people think that SoundCloud is dead. I mean, if you look at it, the app just in general, SoundCloud has been surviving for years, and it constantly still has people uploading music or listening to music on the app. I mean, the app would not be here if no one was using it. I mean, that's just how like businesses work. If nobody is using your services, then you're eventually going to fall under, which is why I said earlier that I'm gonna dick eat a lot, like a lot. But like I said, Abba and Preach, Adam and Abba. I want to watch this video with you guys and try to talk a little bit more and see what they're talking about. Find some disagreements within it, because the conversation was pretty healthy. The conversation wasn't bad. I can kind of disagree with some of the things that they're saying and agree with other things that they're talking about within the conversation. So let's go ahead and take a look at it.
What do you think happens to all like those dopey lean rappers like Lil Xan now that they are no longer relevant?
I mean, you know, think about the career of a rapper. You basically you come out, you have this big explosion of interest where everybody wants to look at you and talk about you, and you're very much like this little freak show. And there's a lot of different levels to it where like some people just seem like regular guys, and they're kind of like, it's easier for people to like understand that their value is in the music versus like a lot of the SoundCloud rappers, the value is more in the meme. Right. And
okay, so let's stop it right there where he starts to talk about how SoundCloud rappers are saying are they're valued more a lot of the time for the meme. That was more of a 2016 to maybe 2018 type of thing that happened. But before that, before the Lil Pumps, the Smoke Perps, and the Lil Xan started to come around, there was actually a lot of art and a lot of good music coming out within the SoundCloud space. Now, I know Adam isn't specifically saying that there was absolutely no like good music going on in that SoundCloud era, because there is still even a lot of music that is coming out from the SoundCloud era. The era that is now that's coming out is really good. But specifically what I hate, and it's kind of a thing that people do because it's the one part of SoundCloud that they look at the most, because it was the most part that was hyped up throughout that time. If you looked at it, gimmicks, people doing pranks, and people just doing really rambunctious, that's probably not even the right word, but just really weird things just to try to get on. People were basically doing anything possible to get on by either adding a sense of humor to them, memeability, just like Adam was saying, or just finding any way to get on. And like, look at Boonk Gang. Like Boonk, is another person that's in that sphere of like SoundCloud artists that was doing a lot of performative stuff to be able to get on. It's so hyper inflated, that part of SoundCloud, those rappers. And don't get me wrong, I loved Lil Pump back then. I wasn't a big fan of Smoke Perp like that, even though they're cousins. I didn't find out until like a couple years later. But what Adam is saying is like, I understand like a lot of people do come up in that way. It's not really fair to say that about a lot of the other SoundCloud artists out there that made a lot of dope music, like X and Ski, of course. Peep made a lot of good music. Even Ghost Main. There's Puya made good music. Fat Nick made good music also. There's countless people that you can think of from that era that made a lot of dope music.
It's like, as a rapper, it's your job to like capitalize on that moment and then also try to like build something long term that you can monetize, right? And when you look at somebody like Lil Xan, he's definitely an example of somebody who basically just torched his, ability to really do his thing during that time period by not taking the opportunity serious. But then also it's like, what can you do with your fame in the long run? Because it's like there's a lot of different ways to make money off rap and everything. And with Lil Xan, it's like, I think he's a charming enough guy that I think if he...
Lil Xan definitely completely wrecked his career. Lil Xan could have had a really prominent career if he took it seriously. He actually had actual fans, like actual people that liked him. I wasn't a fan of Lil Xan like that. His music didn't really mesh with me per se, but I'm definitely sure there were some white girls out there in high school that really adored Lil Xan and really liked Lil Xan a lot. Some people liked him just because it was funny to laugh at him and stuff like that. But what really ruined his career was, I think he was either some interview. I think it might have been at Hot 97. And Hot 97 was an interview with him. They were talking to him about older rappers like Biggie, Tupac. But the Tupac thing is what really helped kill his career.
The born music.
Him also not taking it seriously and doing mad drugs and stuff like that too, kind of like even took him out even more. All I can say is about Lil Xan, it's like he definitely messed up his career. He had a great opportunity. He could have started out with, there's plenty of rappers or plenty of artists from the SoundCloud era that did start off with a lot of bullshit within the beginning of their career, but then somehow was able to stay like sustainable.
Seriously enough to even pursue any of these like hypothetical opportunities. I mean, he hasn't really shown that to me for sure. And like people like Lil Pump, like he recently did an interview and he hates me now. He's mad at me or whatever because I guess I said something on the podcast that made it sound like I thought he fell off or whatever, which, sorry. It's hard not to acknowledge reality sometimes, but and he basically like went and did an interview with Bootleg Kev the other day. And, it just doesn't really seem like he's even accepted that his career has had like a downturn. And it seems like he kind of, there's no sign that he's like going to change anything. Because I think musically, all these guys, Lil Pump, Lil Xan, whatever, if they really were to put their fucking nose to the grindstone and make music that was interesting to people, I think that they could have success.
Okay, I want to stop Adam right there. I can understand what he means by make music that's interesting to people, make something, I don't think he's saying like a mainstream sound or anything like that. But he's essentially just saying make something good, right? Just make something amazing. Like that's something that people will like. At the end of the day, one of the things that I like the most, and you see this like all the time. I literally just saw a post about this on Instagram. When your favorite underground rapper starts to get more popular and he starts making more of a mainstream sound and like drops his old sound completely. Now that can be because of a lot of reasons. Either the person has grown out of that sound and they want to try something different, they want to experiment and they want to do something else. Some people will walk away from that because they're not getting what they want from that artist. But at the end of the day, that artist doesn't want to make the same song for like the next 30 years. Look at DaBaby's career. We all loved DaBaby at the beginning, but we kept seeing consistently that he just could not get out of that sound. Like, and at first I loved it. I love in 2019 listening to Lil Baby. I mean, not Lil Baby, DaBaby. If I said Lil Baby earlier, my bad. He's great right now. DaBaby though, his sound has started to diminish because he cannot get out of the pocket that he's in. I don't know what's going to do it for him, but he's just in a bad place. And it's, oh my God, the PR around him, just terrible, absolutely garbage. But with a lot of these other artists like Pump, Xan, Smoke Perp, it's going to be harder for them to get out of this funk, way harder for them, because people at this point have already given up on them. I don't think anybody is looking for a Lil Pump album. I don't think anybody is looking for a Smoke Perp album. No, almost to the extent where it doesn't even matter if these dudes make like a solid like piece of work. people probably won't even care because they already have the stigma now where they're looking and they're fiending. These niggas are fiending, like needle to the wrist right now, trying to like fiend for attention. Like we saw Lil Pump over in Japan trying to see if like people recognized him. He was either in, I don't think he was in China. He had to be in Japan. I think he was in Japan. Pump is over. Pump, Perp, Xan, they might all be over with. Unless they can come with some sound that is going to be appealing to most people, that's going to like save their careers. But we'll see what happens.
No, and oftentimes people come out with their first stuff and then it's their best stuff, and then afterwards they go through that sophomore slump that everyone talks about. But it's because there's an evolution that needs to happen. You know what I mean? A kid dancing at 13 is absolutely adorable, or 10, whatever. Then that same kid trying to do the same dances at 18, 19 doesn't elicit the same reaction. All of a sudden you lose that cute factor, that kind of initial factor. Yeah. People expect evolution. They expect some measure of change or some kind of growth, or you need to show some depth. Can't listen to you make the same fucking record for 30 years, So
And people want to see growth. And it's like, even, you'll forever click on a girl's TikTok and she'll have 2 million followers, and like, she'll have a couple videos, a couple million views, and then she'll have like, every other current video is like 5,000 views, 10,000 views, because it's like, yeah, if it doesn't matter how pretty you are, if you just keep churning out the same fucking totally soulless content, then people are going to lose interest and stop watching.
I think that's the major thing that people want to see throughout music a lot of the time is growth. Especially the older that you get. A lot of us, I think the reason why so many people now don't like SoundCloud as much, or SoundCloud artists as much anymore, is because they've just grown out of that music. Let's think about it right now. I'm 24 myself. At the age of 18, 19, that's when the SoundCloud era in 2016 was really buzzing and it was really popping. So people wanted to hear a lot of the bullshit. People wanted to see a lot of the bullshit that a lot of these artists were doing. Everybody's growing out of it now. Everybody doesn't care about it anymore. For me, I'll speak for myself. There's still some music, a lot of music, actually. I don't want to say some. There's still a lot of music from that time that I can appreciate and enjoy and get a good amount of nostalgia from. Like, let's take Ugly God, for example. I love Ugly God a lot. Still love him to this day. He'll probably not drop another song like ever. Like, he's already stated how much he like just hates the industry of music itself. I feel like he is still making music, but him putting out music, he'll probably never do again. But when I was younger, when I was around, I think it was 2017, I went to an Ugly God concert in the summer in the city of Chicago, where I stay now. And that entire ride that we took, taking buses and trains to get to the north side of the city to be able to go see this Ugly God concert, because we don't know when we're ever going to see Ugly God ever again come to Chicago. It was exciting. Like, we were listening to X and Ski and a little bit of Ugly God on the way to his concert. As we were going there, one of my friends invited his girlfriend. He had a really terrible night with her because he was arguing with her the whole night. But we were all there in a crowd with people that loved listening to the same guy. And some people still to this day still give mad respect to Ugly God, but it's not reciprocated sometimes. But it was enjoyable. Like, anytime I listen to Ugly God now, I remember the first time my friends had put me on to Ugly God. Like, when Water had first dropped, when I first saw the video for that, I immediately wanted that hentai shirt that he had. I was looking for it everywhere. An ex-girlfriend of mine had bought me the shirt at the time, or the girlfriend at the time that I had bought me that hentai shirt for Christmas. And I was probably the happiest like I had been for like a while, because I wanted that shirt so badly, because Ugly God was that dude to me. Sorry about the mic hit. Ugly God was that guy to me. Like, he was amazing. He was cool. He was funny. Like, he had similar interests to me and stuff like that. He seemed like a down-to-earth type of like dude. And that's what a lot of the SoundCloud artists I had been listening to seemed like. Like, they just seemed like these dudes that were on the internet, and one day they just started making music, and it just started happening in them. I think that's why a lot of people, I think that's why me in general, I still just like internet people making music. Like, it's just kind of cool to me. It's just kind of dope. I like the idea of it. I like people being able to build a community around the shared interest of their music. It's amazing.
I was any of those guys, I would like live in the studio. I would make myself a student of music. I would listen to music from the 70s and 80s and try different shit. Like, you just have to do, like, the only thing that's gonna bring Lil Xan back is if Lil Xan makes a fucking album or a song that changes shit and that is different.
I highly doubt they were working that hard before they got the
Hell
music.
no.
So I doubt they're going to work all of a sudden much harder after they get some comfort and they get some money.
Especially once they feel like no matter what they make, nobody's going to listen to it because the fan base just isn't there. And rap is just addicted to new shit. It's like they want to see new rappers.
It depends.
I don't feel like they need to do all that. I don't feel like they necessarily need to make anything that's game changing, that's going to evolve hip hop or anything like that. Anytime people start speaking like that, I'm just like, all right. It's very rare that we get people like that are able to change the whole wave of hip hop and change the sound in general. We don't get many people like that a lot of the time sometimes within the same generation. You know, like we get people that will give us a great vibe for the moment, and maybe their career will peter a little bit. It'll have its ups and its downs. Fetty Wap, for example, is kind of like one of those people who had a stellar career in 2014, 2015, and like he'll drop a song every now and then that's like actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty good, but from there, like, where does he really go from that point? Or many other artists like him. But I don't think that's a fair point to make for people like Lil Xan or Smoke Perp or any of those guys. Xan specifically, I don't think he's the type of person that needs to make anything game changing or anything like that to rebuild his career or rebrand his career or anything like that. He doesn't have to make evolutionary type of like music, because if that's not him as a person, if he's already not naturally doing something like that on his own, or he or even has the mindset to even want to do that, it's not going to work for him. And that's probably not the formula that he needs to make music. What do I think Lil Xan should do? Nothing. I think he should just let that career in music just fade away into existence. Maybe he could repair it. He probably could repair it. He probably could do something to make it better, but I don't see the opportunity of that happening forever.
New rappers.
It depends. I think some people elicit a loyal fan base, and it becomes timeless, but those are few and far between.
You have to build a masterful career if you want to have the kind of fan base that'll sit on their hands for 5 years while you don't put an album out like Kendrick, you know? That's just awesome. Like that. It's incredible, but it's like it's the thing that like almost no rappers are able to do. And even rappers who are really popular, like somebody like Roddy Ricch goes away for like a year and then drops an album that people think is kind of mid, and it's like his stock plummets in regards to how people talk about him.
More than you think, there are people out there that have solid fan bases that will wait for them. There's 1,000 Band Fonny fans that will wait for him to drop music forever, and he drops music like pretty consistently. Like Uno the Activist, also Bear One Boss, like artists that some people don't even know the name to. Like barely any. Like if you're not a die-hard Playboi Carti fan, you probably don't know that Playboi Carti used to be in a group with 1,000 Band Fonny and Uno the Activist, and now they're not together anymore because they had some argument about like who started rage music and stuff like that, which is a big conversation in like the underground. Like if you try to debate somebody about that shit, like somebody will damn near want to murder you over who started rage first. Don't ask me. I don't know. I still want to have to do research on it. But I know that's one of the main arguments of why their group broke up. I forget what their group was even called. Either way, you'd be surprised who has like hardcore fan bases. Like Wintertime, for some reason, still has a fan base that will, if you guys know who Wintertime is, you already know what I'm talking about then. But Wintertime still has a very strong fan base that will come back whenever he drops an album. I think people are still waiting for he has a project that he said he was going to release for the past like 2-3 years. He's been just tweeting it on Twitter every now and then, just like talking about this fucking project. Even Lil Yachty even sent out a tweet saying that he misses Wintertime.
The highs of their career realistically have not been that high, but they've managed to like have this real ass fan base that'll support them long term. And that's the thing that a lot of these SoundCloud rappers 100% did not do, is that they just lost the connection with their community, which understandably, because a lot of those people just straight up move on. You know, like their favorite rapper when they were 14 is just not their favorite rapper 4 years later, whereas your favorite rapper when you're 20 might actually be one of your favorite rappers when you're 30. Like when you're 18, 19, 20, that era of your fandom tends to be the part that gets crystallized long term, you know?
I think on that note, on that final note, that's where I'm probably just gonna end this video at, because it's already getting too long at this point anyway. Like I said in the beginning, people grow out of music. People don't stop liking the artists that they used to like Adam said, at the age of 14. Once you get around like your 20s, I guess when you get into your 20s, you really start defining what you like within your music taste and stuff like that. You start really understanding what you dislike and what you like, just in life in general too, but more specifically with music, you really start defining like what you don't want to ever listen to in your car or in your crib, and you just block that from your plane of existence, I guess you can say. But I think they're wrong about the fact that they assumed that a lot of SoundCloud artists didn't attain much support from the people that listen to them. There's people that I can list off like Ghostmane, Uno the Activist, 1000 Band Fani that I mentioned earlier, Wintertime that I mentioned. You can also say Puya, Fat Nick. There's a bunch of Florida artists from the SoundCloud era that really attained a lot like of attention, and you might not see them now. Like even like let's take for example, people damn near forget about Rob Banks. Rob Banks is amazing. Wi-Fi's Funeral, amazing. Still retained a lot of their fan base till now. I think Rob Banks just dropped his a project last year. It was Femto. I think he dropped that Forever Femto or Femto something, like he dropped that project last year. I listen to it every now and then, and he still sounds like it's the same Rob Banks that we've been listening to. But even a couple years ago, this might have been like a while ago, but he had that song Hoes Mad. He had that song Hoes Mad that kind of went like pretty viral, and a lot of people were listening to that. And Rob Banks, every time he drops a project, it's still kind of the same old Rob that we get, but he's still really amazing. We even have people like Trippie Redd as well. Trippie has like so many time after time after time has been able to drop solid projects. The Trip at Night project I did not like that much at all. It was too much rage for me. Like it was just like 100% rage. But even Trippie has still time after time been able to give us like good tracks or good singles at least. He just had You Too Goth for Me, I think with Kill Cody and why am I forgetting his name? I need to stop forgetting his name. I like Chapo. That's who I was thinking of. Chapo was also on that song. Chapo is another legendary SoundCloud artist as well, who has been able to retain a lot of his SoundCloud fan base because he's a Vamp kid. Still a lot of Vamp kids out there. Trippie is damn near one of them too. Either way, a lot of SoundCloud artists out there that have been able to retain a lot of their fan bases. I don't want to say Adam doesn't know what he's talking about. Adam does know what he's talking about. I think there's a small sect of people that are hyper inflated to look like, or to be sometimes, falling off or have fallen off. So you can say that about Pump. You can say that about Perp, because they've done things in their career to make themselves fall off, or they didn't take the opportunities to do some of the things that they should have done to boost their careers into the stratosphere. There are a lot of artists that were able to adapt and to become and to come into the mainstream while retaining their own identity and their own sound. We can list them all. Lil Uzi was able to do that. Playboi Carti was able to do that. Lil Yachty was able to do that. Kodak Black was able to do that. 21 Savage was able to do that as well. Everybody that you can see from the 2016 double XL freshman class was able to capitalize on their careers as artists. Look at Lil Dicky, known as Dave now to a lot of people, because a lot of people probably didn't listen to Lil Dicky as much, but he had pretty solid humorous rap projects that were good. He's not a SoundCloud artist like within himself. I don't see him as one, but he was on that 2016 Double XL cover. And damn, I'm forgetting his name, but he did that project with Bruno Mars. We can see a lot of people that were able to come from SoundCloud and to be able to mix themselves within the mainstream without having to quote unquote sell out. One of the perfect examples that I can make is like Lil Peep as well. Peep was able to still keep his sound and like kind of reach the mainstream like a little bit. Like he didn't heavily reach like the mainstream, but he reached a good amount of people to where like he did become a mainstream artist at some point. You don't get to work with Marshmello and a lot of other like famous like DJs and stuff like that predominantly make mainstream like music without becoming that big and that successful. Even with X, people, even though there's rumors, or I think it's kind of been like confirmed that X was signed before he became like super mainstream or anything like that, and that kind of helped propel him to become more mainstream. But it was a lot of the controversy surrounding him with him and his ex-girlfriend that he definitely did beat up. It definitely happened. I'm still a fan of X, even though he made that horrible decision to do that. He was a piece of shit for that, but still love you, X. Just wish you did better. Wish you wouldn't have left that mark on yourself before you went away. Yeah, but either way, what they were saying within the conversation, ABBA and Adam, it wasn't wrong per se. It wasn't terrible, anything that they were saying. But some of the remarks that they were making just didn't sit right with me. I just wanted to make a video about it because like I still feel like the SoundCloud era is very, or SoundCloud in general is just very strong. You still have a lot of dope. I keep hitting my mic. I stopped doing that. But there's still a lot of strong artists out there that are on SoundCloud right now. Like right now you have a really mixed amount of people. Like there's very different pockets of it, and so a lot of stuff kind of starts to intertwine and kind of sound the same a little bit. Or there's just a lot of like younger dudes that aspire to be a lot of these guys that are in the era now that make similar music to them, and it kind of like gets mushed together. There's not too much variety like that right now. You got a lot of the guys on Opium, like King Carson, that's doing pretty decent, even though his last project was kind of don't kill me for that. This is my opinion. I didn't really like the King Carson project like that, the new one. Even so, Fago just recently had a project, his Pink Hearts album that he was hyping up. All of us were hyping up the Pink Hearts project to be a really big success and to be amazing, but it just didn't hit the mark like it was supposed to. And it's kind of sad to see that like really happen to him, because I didn't want that to happen to Sofago. But he only sold like 7 to 10K first week on the Pink Hearts project, and that sucks to see. For somebody like him to had the 2021 to damn near to now, he's been on a really good ride. He got signed to the Cactus Jack, but after that whole controversy with Travis Scott, that kind of like, I feel like that partially kind of hurted him, but I didn't think that was going to hurt him too much. But I think it's the mismanagement of what they're doing for Sofago, or just where the music was in the first place. I still need to listen to the whole project in full. I listened to like half of the album. Wasn't really rocking with it, but maybe I need to re-listen to it to see if it was actually that bad. Either way, we have tons of artists that are out there that are creating great music on SoundCloud, and a lot of it, even though a lot of people aren't going directly to SoundCloud to listen to it, it's being trafficked. Yeah, I think it's trafficked. It's being trafficked to SoundCloud from TikTok or even Instagram. Like a lot of artists still use Instagram as their main way to promote their music a lot of the time, but TikTok is like the major one. That's going to lead people to your SoundCloud, to your Spotify, to your Apple Music. If you're on Tidal, if you got lucky and you're on Tidal, but I don't see too many people on there. Either way, that's kind of my piece on it. I'm kind of dick eating a lot, like a lot. I didn't dick eat as much as I thought I was going to dick eat, but I feel like there's still like a lot of good music out there. There's still a lot of good artists out there that are making amazing music on SoundCloud. To list off a few, number one for me is Autumn. Next after that is probably Summers. Summers is pretty fucking dope. I really like him like a lot. Another artist that I really like right now on SoundCloud probably be Cario. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else. I'm not looking at my phone. No, but there's a lot of great artists out there. Please go find something. Go listen to stuff. If you want to find new music, SoundCloud is your place. If you don't want to keep looking into so many playlists on Spotify, well, Spotify will playlist you to death. And sometimes those playlists are whack. But I'm not even saying that SoundCloud is even better. SoundCloud has an abysmal amount of like bullshit on there. And a lot of people trying to be other artists on there don't know how to have like a lot of individuality like 2016 had. There's so much like different varieties of music that you can go from during that time. But it's different now. There's a whole new generation. Go check everybody out. A bunch of new stuff. Bunch of people that you can find out about. I should have said your stepdad. Your stepdad is really good too. He's kind of amazing. He makes like lo-fi drill music. It's pretty decent. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I gotta say. SoundCloud is still lit. SoundCloud is still dope. People gotta stop complaining. It's not as bad as you think. But if you guys like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Want to start making more videos. This is kind of like my first video coming back. I really enjoy talking about music and whatever else is on my mind, but this was something that I caught last night when I was at work, and I was just like, I think I gotta talk about this. I think they're fucking mowing the lawn out there. They're fucking mowing the lawn out there. That's fucking great. All right, peace, guys.